Hello, Georgina.
Hello, Luca. Happy to see you again.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
I enjoyed our conversation.
I have one of
another question.
Very deep question.
Yes.
So I have the feeling that sometimes when we make, let me pass this phrase, some bad things, this will make us happy. While do the good things make us happy. For instance, if you tell me, let's go outside, we go to clubbing, drinking, and we will come back at 3 o'clock wasted. While if you tell me, oh, let's go, I don't know, gardening, or let's clean the country, or let's go and help some homeless, or let's go and clean the zoo, anything, I would say, man, better to drink a beer or to be quiet and some YouTube video will be fine for us. Why, and especially when you are getting older, you can, I would say, see through this choice, this feeling, but how would you choose, how can you discern, how in your life do you see what is good truly and what is bad?
Yeah, it's a very deep question too. How to know what is good and right and how to act on it, you know.
Yes.
When you were speaking, I remember reading or hearing about St. Ignatius, the man that founded the Jesuits. But when he was young, he was a soldier and he was very vain, you know. He was very handsome and very vain. And he was in the war and he wanted to have glory, to get a big reputation for himself. Famous, yes, to be famous.
Like a YouTuber.
And unfortunately, his leg got broken by a cannonball or something. So he was a well-off family, a very well-off family, and he was lying in bed. And anyway, finally, reading, and finally, the leg healed. This is a long time ago, and he got up, and when he was walking, he was lame. One leg was a little bit shorter than the other, and he was a very vain man, and his appearance and his reputation mattered a lot to him. And he asked the doctor in those days to break his leg again and to reset it. I'm not sure, I don't think there was any anesthetic at that time. I don't know what he did, but he put up with the pain because he wanted to be handsome and he wanted to look good, and that mattered a lot to him. But the second time, lying in bed waiting for his leg to heal again, he was bored, and in that castle at that time books were like rare. So they had a few books. They had some books, novels and stories, and they had some books about the saints or something. And so he would read whatever they could give him. And he talks about this, he discovered that when he was reading the novel, it was great. Page turning, he wanted the next page. Great excitement.
Women after women.
Yes,
cars after cars.
Yes, he was enjoying it. But when he had finished the book, he would have this kind of empty feeling. And then, because there was nothing else to read, they gave him the life of some saint. And he was, oh, this is boring, you know, this will be boring. And he started to read, and he would get interested, and he would finish it. And then he would begin to think about it or something, and he would feel some kind of satisfaction, you know, not the same empty feeling, you know. And so he began to say, what are these feelings? Where do these feelings come from? And he developed, later on in his life, he developed a whole theory of what we call now discernment. And how do we know what is good and what is bad? And he says, we know it inside. We know it inside. We have an innate feeling, like no matter with or without religion, human beings have an innate sense, this is good and this is bad. Like for example, very practical things. You can't just go around murdering people, you know, or taking their goods or something. You have to rationalize it. If you do, you have to pretend that it's a good thing. But you can't just go around doing terrible things and reflect on it. So he says, if we listen to our deepest feelings, we will somehow know. And I remember asking my father once, how do you know if something is good or bad? And he said, you will know in the morning. Like, that was very funny, and I remember it still. What he meant was, when you wake up, you know, you will feel, oh Lord, I spent all my money. I gambled all my money on cards, you know, and now I'm broke, you know. And you get this feeling that...
In the morning.
In the morning, he said, which meant was when you reflect on it.
The night.
Yes, when you reflect on what you did the day before, or even in the end of the day, you will see, gradually we learn to know if it's worth it or not. But many of us live, especially when we're young, we don't want to think about these things at all. You know, we're alive, we want to live life, we want to experience everything. But as you say, when we get a bit older, we begin to feel, as they say, been there, done that, worn the t-shirt, you know. We say, my brother told me once before, when he was a young man, and his friend, the two of them, they did all the things that young men do. And then one day, his friend said to him, you know, I'm tired of this roundabout. I'm tired of all this. And I just would like to be settled down, he said. I think I'd like to get married and have a family. And my brother said, you know what, I think the same. He said, I'm getting tired of it too. You know, going out, going pubbing, going to all these things. And so the satisfaction...
Maybe in the past the society was... but now we have a society where married people divorce and then they go clubbing again, search other women. I mean, how would you discern, I mean, I don't want to go back always, but to the maybe, let's suppose, shall I change sex or shall I stay in the same sex? There are a lot of people that even today pose this question. In the past, I think it was much easier for us because we have at least 30 years ago two choices. Nowadays there are a lot of possibilities.
I think myself that people are looking for happiness. They're looking for happiness, and people who feel like ill at ease, as I say, it's a big question. This. About gender, I'm not very well up in it, you know. I'm not condemning anybody and what their choices are or something. But I don't know enough about it scientifically and everything. But what I know, like from human beings, we are looking for happiness. And if people don't feel at ease for some reason, like I think a lot of teenagers, they don't know who they are anyway, you know, and it's difficult. But this is a topic, but it is a topic, and I didn't talk about it the last time either because I feel I'm not really very well qualified, you know, to discuss it. But the question you asked me in the beginning, I think is a question we can continue with, like, how do we know what's good? And, you know, I think what the biggest problem is that now, we'll say in the modern world, we have the media, and we'll say advertisements. Advertisements know, the advertisers know what makes a person deep down happy, you know. And they will tell you, they will pretend, you know, they will show you a beautiful car and they will tell you with all these gadgets and the speed and color and shape and everything. And they make you believe that if you had this car, you'd be satisfied forever.
Correct.
But if somebody can afford to buy the car, it's great for a few months or something, but then it wears off and they're still wanting something.
But it's not like this also for the religious life and for the married life. You get married, it's great for some time, and then it's just okay.
Yes. And I think that we have, like they used to talk, you are a philosopher, so they used to talk about vice and virtue. And virtue is a good habit, and the virtues are like goodness, truth, justice. You know these, you can even name them for me. And human beings are made in such a way that even if they go after bad things, you know, that things they think are good. I read somewhere, maybe you can tell me if it's true, that St. Thomas Aquinas said that human beings never choose evil. They choose what they think is good, or they choose what they think will make them happy. But they can be wrong in that, you know, they can be wrong in the choice they make. And then they're still unhappy. But I think, like people who get married, it's true what you say, of course. Like, it's meant to be like this. We talk about honeymoon, meaning it's lasts a month or have you a honeymoon, like a moon. Yeah. So it lasts for a time. It's meant to be like that. But love is not only about having delight in the other person or in oneself, but love is, like, as it's often quoted, patient and kind and forgiving and all this, that, and love deepens, and you've often seen it.
Why is so
Yes.
difficult to achieve this? Why you think it's so difficult to achieve this? And people always speaking about the youth, because I think if I remember myself as a young guy, I would say, oh, yeah, I also made a lot of silly choice of the past. So how would you address this? But I would say even nowadays that I see many people of my same age.
Yes.
We were speaking with one colleague, and he told me, look, now this couple, they had some problem and they think that the child will fix the problem.
Yes.
I say, the child will make more problem than fix the problem.
Exactly. Yes.
So how people can be so, I would say, cannot see really the reality, even adults that say, yeah, we have a problem in couple, let's have a son, or let's have a child, he will fix our problem.
Yes.
Or
because I think deep down, when we're looking for happiness, we are just thinking about ourselves or something, you know, and we will really never be happy until we start thinking about other people. And I think the problem in many marriage is tough, marriage is tough, and we grow. I remember reading once a book by a doctor who was a psychologist, and he says marriage is for healing, you know. We don't come into marriage with all our problems solved. And I remember once a friend of mine, she wasn't English speaking, and I told her once, we were talking about things like this, and I said, we all come into a marriage or relationship, whatever it is, community, whatever, with our own baggage, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're dating, we don't show this baggage, we don't even look at it. But when we get married, whether we like it or not, it's going to surface. And she phoned me one time and she said, you said once that we all have our knapsack, our rucksack, you know. But I think marriage is like, it's for adults, it's for people who are ready to make it work, you know, to work at it. Of course, it's still difficult. But I think one of the biggest problems is we come with wounds, you know, with hard things that happen to us, our own family background, even if it's good, no matter how good our parents are, there's still some, like, they make mistakes, and if there's a problem in the family, it's even worse, you know, for the person growing up and going into their own family. So I think marriage is a serious business, you know, and it's not for, some people say, like the young people, they want the wedding, but they don't want the marriage, you know. They want the dress,
they want the party,
they want the party, they want
the drinking,
yes, and everybody
the cars,
there, and everybody, yes, lovely. But marriage is serious, you know, and this is why I think now people who are getting married, they need to know that it's a long road, you know, it's to the end, and that it will go through phases, and it will go through very tough times and happy times, and it's something that we have to keep at, and it's about self-awareness, you know. I think this is because when we're young, we don't really think about ourselves like deeply, you know. We live superficially. Like, I think the first part of life is meant to be like that, you know. We have a drive for something and we go for it. Like, we go to our career, or we go to...
Because there is no experience, so you try.
Yes. And you try, you have to learn. We have to make mistakes.
The problem is when a mistake is irreversible and when a mistake is not irreversible.
Yes.
I mean, I have the feeling that all the mistakes that I made, somehow they were fixed.
Yes.
But I have the feeling that some of my colleagues they made some mistake that they couldn't fix.
Yes.
So let's suppose it's like this.
Yes.
What helped me and what didn't help my friend?
Yes.
Why somebody enter in the drugs or in this or in the car or in some problems?
Yes.
And somebody eventually didn't manage to enter so deep and actually because
that is very true.
It's the background, yes, but it's also something in you that you choose
Yes, there is. And I think, like, I call it grace, you know. It's because you have people in the same family.
Correct.
And
I met the two sisters,
yes,
and they had really different, opposite life.
Yes.
And they were two sisters.
Yes, you can even have twins, but they have the same parents, go to the same school, eat the same food, have the same environment.
Correct.
But we are different, you see. Every individual is different. And I think when problems arise, some people, like, they are fighters, you know, and some people, what do they say, it's either fight or flight. Some people, like, they won't give up, you know. And some people, like, they give up more easily or something. But I to go back to, you said now that you're like, and your colleagues and your friends about the same age. And I think myself that until a certain age, we're blessed if we know what we want, you know. Many young people now, they don't know what they want in life. There are too many choices, and they see too many failures around them, and they get dissatisfied very quickly, and they don't know what they want. When, like, as you say, before maybe at least you had a feeling that you could want to be a teacher. You stayed a teacher all your life, you know, there was not much of a difference. But now people change jobs, they study one thing, they do something else.
They change continent.
And it's very difficult. It's very difficult for people to know where their happiness will be, you know. And I think actually that the only answer to all of it is more quiet, more self-awareness. Many people are beginning to meditate, whether they are Christians or Buddhists or no faith at all. Even people who say that they are atheists, they don't believe in anything transcendent, but for peace of mind, they are beginning to want quiet places.
To listen inside.
Inside. And there are places in the airports, for example, a quiet room, you know. And many parents will say, what wouldn't I give for a quiet quarter of an hour, you know, just a quiet quarter of an hour. And even when we're trying to be quiet, our thoughts are juggling around everywhere. But
the worst things come up.
yes, they do. It's normal, because then it's like, I often give the example of a trapdoor in a cellar, you know, that it's like when the door is closed, you don't know what's down there, you know, you don't go down there. But many psychologists will say, like, that our consciousness, our unconscious and subconscious and all these other layers, they're like the cellar, you know, and we don't like to go down there. But
because it's kind of uncomfortable.
It's scary. It is scary and painful, sometimes very painful. So the question is, how do we know what is right or wrong? How do we know what makes us happy? There's a line in one of the Psalms, I think it says, many people ask, who can give us happiness? And that's a very old question. A very old question. And we think we will be satisfied if we have, like, maybe better house or better. Of course, we need to have a place where we have family, that it can be without too much stress, enough room, and not too many debts and all this. But people are seeking for happiness, and I think when we are a child, or even as a young person, we have an image like, this is happiness, you know. When you're a small baby, when you're a small child, happiness is ice cream, you know, and when you're older, happiness is a disco or girlfriend or something, boyfriend. Then you get older again, and you have a different desire. And the desires are what make us follow. We follow our desires. Like, I think you know more about that than me. We follow our desires. And if we don't know what we are desiring, if we don't think will bring us happiness in the end. And I'd like to ask you more about this virtue and vice. You know, what did the pagan, like, call them pagan philosophers, you know, what did they talked about virtue, didn't they? They talked about the good life, or the...
It's more like an habit will help you to have some virtue. The virtue is not popping up like
no,
but it's through the repetition of a good habit. And when you have a bad habit, this will bring you to the opposite.
And for example, we know people who want to give up smoking, but they have an addiction, or they have a habit. And to break it is very difficult.
Correct.
So I think the same is true, for example, if we're looking for happiness and we have some kind of, I think they say, like, around the age of 40 or midlife, many people come to some kind of awakening, you know. Like you say, let's say...
But it's quite late at 40, no?
No, but 40 is midlife, now it's even young, because now people are living to be 100, really. Really, like not only in Europe, but all over the world, people are living to be 90 or 100.
Yeah, it depends how
Yes.
with your brain you
Yes,
can
you
cope.
can, yes, of course. So, like, I think we wake up, we begin to say, like my brother and his pal, they say, I'm tired of this, it's not lasting, it's okay, like, but you get tired of it. But then you have to look for something then you begin to realize, I need something deeper, I need something more lasting, I need something that will satisfy me in a deeper level, And this is, I suppose, what people have to discover. And the same, I think, in the marriage, or in the community or something. We have to say, okay, it was nice, it was honeymoon, it was everything, but now what do we really want, What do we really want? And we want this to last. We want our love to be real. We want it to last. But then they say we have to work at it. And working at it means working on myself mostly. Because I'm not a psychologist either. But they say we project onto the other person what we can't cope with ourselves, And I remember reading Jung. As I said, I'm not a psychologist, but the psychologist Jung helped me a lot. Yes, because he said about we have a shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like when we are young, we are active and we know this part of myself. But I don't know my shadow.
Mm.
And my shadow is part of me. And I'm only I'm only knowing half of myself. And I don't know this shadow. And we're afraid of it. We might even have some gift, but we don't want that gift, or we don't accept that that's part of me. So we project it onto somebody else and we blame somebody else for the very thing that's my own shadow. And I think in marriage this is part of the struggle, to learn to know myself and to know that, for example, if I'm a fanatical cleaner, I'm always cleaning something. Well, if I see somebody who's always cleaning, she drives me mad. I say, why can't she just leave things the way they are? Why does she have to move everything? Why does she have to? Because it's the very thing I want to do myself, And we have to know ourselves. It's hard work, but it makes life worth living, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are human beings, and we need to grow. We need to grow and grow and grow, and develop the virtues that make us good human beings, apart from religion, Even if we're talking about a good human being, goodness, there's truth, there's honesty. You can trust a person. You can rely on them, You don't they can do good things without having to be bribed or some, What are the virtues that the philosophers used to talk about? Prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. These are 4 natural virtues that, even apart from any religion, human beings know. Prudence means you can take risks, you can be courageous, but you don't take stupid risks.
Yes,
you don't throw yourself into off a cliff and expect somebody to pick you up,
Yes.
Prudence, fortitude. And I think this fortitude, this courage is necessary in life, like whether it's married life or business life or anything, you have to have
a bit of strong.
Yes, you have to be strong to keep going,
Yeah.
Prudence, temperance. Temperance means that I enjoy a drink, I enjoy sport, I enjoy watching television, I enjoy many, many things, but I have to have temperance, and temperance means I know when to stop. I know when to stop. I can go to the pub with my pals, but I know that after 3 beers I'm not going to be so in my head, or something. So I know there's a limit.
The measure,
yes,
the Greek proverb, have a measure.
Yes, and I think it's no harm for us to go back to the human being, and see, before we start preaching or teaching about religions and faith and so on, many people out there have lost faith in churches, lost faith in God, lost faith in many things. But if we can begin to work to believe that human being is something wonderful, really, and a human being is an amazing thing. Like you have a baby now, so you can see, like a human being is extraordinary. How they can grow and develop and have personality. And every child has a different personality. Like if you watch I watch a lot of toddlers, and they're all the same in one way. They will all pull things down. They will all cry for their mother. They will all like put things in their mouth, they will all do this. But each one of them is so different. You know that like your little girl has friends or own age, or you're friends with their parents, and you see they're so different, and still they're so much the same. But this is the wonderful thing about a human being, and I think if we could begin to value the human being and say what makes a human being, that excess, like drinking yourself stupid, is not making you a better human being. Cheating at work and stealing from your neighbor is not making you a better human being. So these ordinary basic human virtues, they help us to be good, honest, trustworthy, noble people. And then, like, I think this will gradually also help people to know what is right and wrong. And I think you talked about habit. I think we need habits. We need good habits. You know, we need good habits. I mean, what did we say?
To build.
Yes, we did. And to have patience with ourselves.
Yeah. This is the biggest in Kung Fu, because with the patient you will have all the other.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about, I never know anything about Kung Fu.
I think it's in Chinese it is Ine.
Yes, yes.
And the patient, and they always say that only with patience you can achieve all the others. Because you always somehow struggle to.
Yes, and
but if you are patient with yourself,
yes,
in a way that you understand that you can fail, understand that you can
make mistakes.
Yeah, make mistake, and realize that it's normal in the process, and to have patience with yourself.
And with the other person,
Yes.
And I think I'm old now.
Yes,
you know,
with the other.
And I think what helps me, what gives me compassion is I can say, I've been 80 years, I'm nearly 84, So let's say I'm 40, like since I was 40, like that gives me another 40 years when I was supposed to be awake, you know, and getting more human.
Already know your shadows.
I'm already getting through my shadow. But I say, if it has taken me so long, and I'm still growing, I'm still learning, I'm still failing, can I not see that the other person also has to grow, you know? And you can't expect a 3-year-old to behave like a 7-year-old. We even said that, we said that a while ago. A child of 7 or 8 is beginning to have reason, you can rationalize. Can't rationalize with a small baby, they don't rationalize.
Yeah.
Then you can't expect a 16 or 17-year-old to act like a man in his 30s or 40s. They're still 16-year-olds. They're making mistakes, they're learning, they're doing stupid things because they have to grow.
Yeah.
But I think what gives me some kind of compassion for other people and not judgment is once you know yourself, you see, we used to say, who am I to throw stones, you know? They used to say, people in glass houses, we say in English proverb, people in glass houses can't throw stones. You know, Or I believe in the gospel, Jesus said, the one without sin, let him throw the first stone.
Yeah.
And I think this is the essence of like community life or parish life or business life or married life. We have to learn that the other person can make mistakes, that they are trying, you know, if they are trying and still it goes wrong, you know. And you mentioned friends that make mistakes, they can't go back. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Because
they didn't have the fortune, or probably.
Yes. They didn't have the help. Maybe they didn't have the guidance. Yeah. They didn't have the something like this, or maybe the character, you know. And they make mistakes, and we all make mistakes. But what I have to believe is, even the mistakes can build my character, you know. And you often hear of people that did dreadful things, you know, when they were young. Yeah. And then they turn it around, or people who are abused or.
But you also hear a lot of people that are unsatisfied.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And when your colleagues ask you, do you come across to your colleagues as fairly happy men? I mean, nobody is 100% happy all the time, but do you come across as a kind of satisfied, contented man in work?
I mean, now recently with home office, there is not a lot of interaction. But I would say that in the business life you can see people that are willing to help.
Yes.
And people can say, really, do you need me?
Yes, sir.
You make me a problem.
Yes.
So
the biggest problem, I think, is what we call self-centeredness. They say every baby is born selfish. It's not for a baby's selfishness, but they have to survive, you know. But gradually the child has to learn to share. I can remember, like, the first thing a child would say, it's mine, it's mine. They don't want to share. And then the mother or the dad would say, you give some of this now to, give Paul a bite of your, give him a piece of your apple or something like this. No, it's mine, you know. Or they won't let each other play, and they gradually learn that by yourself, just be by yourself is hell, you know, in the end. That's all. If you have only yourself in the end, you won't be happy. But if you can learn to share and communicate and so on. So I think, like, happiness is, like, our unhappiness comes from being totally self-centered. People who are totally self-centered, they're very unhappy. They're never happy. They will
never be happy.
Never be happy.
Yeah, on this I agree.
Yes, and I think, like, we talk about how to be happy, and I think one of the first things is learn to, like, forget about myself somehow.
And open.
And just try to think about the other person, and you'll be surprised. And the second thing is accepting other people as they are. Of course, if you're a parent, you must help your child to grow. You must teach them virtues and prudence, fortitude, temperance and patience, or whatever you say.
Correct.
But they have to learn, But if we just, if we can help the other person, if we can accept the other person as they are, with their temperament, their background, their story, and have a non-judgmental, compassionate attitude, I think we can help people. But if we are, like, so centered on myself that I have no time for other people, and I can't be, don't bother me now, you know, you're annoying me, I think we can. And we talked in our last talk, you know, we talked about what is a human being and is there God or something. And I think the first thing is learning to know more about myself, learning to accept the other person, and then we will begin to ask the deeper questions, you know. Why am I here? And your first question today was, how do I know what is right or wrong? And I think we are very influenced by our family. We are influenced by the society, and the society will tell you this is right. And politicians
accepted by the society.
Yes,
right.
Something is accepted by the society, but it's all wrong. Like, you put things up on the like they talk about it. Like, if people want to make money, they don't mind how they attract young people and they make them addictive to these games, you know, or something. But how is the young person to know? A young person, how is the young person to know this is not good for you? Some people, parents or teachers or people running clubs or Kung Fu or whatever, have to help young people to see this is not good for you. This will not make you happy. You know, in the long run, it won't make you happy. So it's a very big question, but I think, for me, to sum it up, I think we need to know ourselves, you know. We have, like, when we get a bit older, we need to reflect on our lives. We need to know, find out from my experience, what does make me happy? And what makes me, in the morning, what kind of, like, if you have a hangover. I remember once, I had a lot to do with people who were homeless one time, and somebody who had been a bad alcoholic, you know. And I said, how did you give it up in the end? And he said, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. He was always sick and tired. And he could think of nothing except alcohol. In the morning he got up, only alcohol, the crave for alcohol. But by some grace or gift, he suddenly realized, why am I doing this to myself? Do I want to be all my life sick and tired? And somehow he managed. He managed, yeah. So I think we have had a very, I don't know if I answered your questions or not.
Yeah, partially, thank you.
Yeah, we can think about it. I think we have to keep thinking, and each one has to find their own answer. This is why I think in my conversations I'm not very happy to just give you
dogmatic, ideological answers.
No, nothing from the book, because if we don't ask the question, we won't accept the answer. You know, there's to say, good teachers bring out the questions, you know, or the knowledge.
It's easier to put questions.
Yes, and one friend told me one time, an old man, he said, you cannot tell anybody anything unless they know it already inside.
Yeah.
If they know it inside, they will see the truth of it. But if you tell them something and they don't know it yet inside, they won't take any notice. So thank you for your
Thank
time.
you,
It's
Georgina.
always lovely. I wish we could keep going, but you have to go now. Yes.
Yes,
Thank you
we
very
need to go.
much.
Thank
you
you.
for your conversation.